Hi guys, my name's Alex and I've recently hired an Indy camper to go travelling from Melbourne down to Jervis Bay and then back along the coastal road, and I thought I'd just give you my opinion on this vehicle, which I've hired for just over $4,000 for 8 nights. We arrived from Manchester, spent about £10,000 on flights and went away over the Christmas period. We picked the van up on Christmas Eve. First thing to just comment on, there was a bit of damage to the vehicle when we picked it up. It was marked on the right hand side, a big scratch line along it. So when we picked it up, the handover was all very good. Everything seemed to be in order on the face of it. When I drove it home though, had a couple of issues. Number one, the gas bottle was empty. The guy told us that we could pick up the gas bottle from any petrol station around. It's difficult to just open, but actually it's an LPG tank, and I went to about 10 petrol stations and none of them would swap it. After lots of phone calls and messaging the WhatsApp team, who didn't help at all, I managed to find a BCF short store that managed to refill it for about $18. So worth knowing about. The guys at the rental place didn't know about that. Also, after the hour drive from the hire place to my brother's, the water tank was pretty much empty. So there's a bit of a botch here that's happened on this external valve here. They've got a C-clip and loads of fixings. Anyway, the water tank just leaked. So we've not had any water for the whole trip because it just leaks out. So that was absolutely useless. The other issue is with the split charging. So after about an hour and a half of driving back to my brother's house, who lives in Melbourne, or Muddyalloc, the battery was completely dead. So I've actually just driven this back 10 hours from near Jervis Bay back to the rental place, and the battery's completely dead. There's nothing there. So basically what I'm trying to say is we've not had a fridge for the whole journey. We've not had any lights for the whole journey, for the whole trip. That means obviously that the water pump doesn't work either. So we've not been able to use a toilet, not been able to flush the toilet, not been able to get water out of the sink. The water just drains anyway. There is a solar panel on the roof of the vehicle at the back. I'll show you that. Just up there. But the split charge doesn't work for the vehicle, and nor does the solar charging. You cannot use this vehicle off-grid. It's pointless. You will get about an hour of battery on it. After 6 days at Jervis Bay, we stopped at a campsite that did have electric hookup. We plugged it in, it got fully charged up, drove off, and again after an hour the battery was completely drained and dead. It's hotter inside the fridge than it was outside. The other issue is this is the steps up to the top. The step is at exactly the same height as a table. So when we actually picked the table up, we noticed that one of the hinges was damaged. Here you can see that. So we've actually had to sort of zip tie it into position. There's also like a lot of other sort of minor points about the laminations coming off in the van. You can see that here. It's a bit poor. There's also like problems like with some of the fixings in the van as well, not being up to scratch. Let's talk about the actual pop top. The pop top up there it's a good size. It sleeps 2 adults. The problem that we had with ours is it absolutely stunk. It's like it's not been aired out in months, to the point where my wife made me and her sleep on the bunk at the bottom there. Now this is across the width of the bed. The mattress is quite comfortable, but I'm 6'1" and you cannot sleep a 6'1" person on there. This is a kid's bed. So I had to sleep in a fetal position for the whole time, and the kids had to sleep in the top because my wife refused to sleep up there. So that was quite annoying. And then what else? I think that's probably about it really. I will point out that the van is rattly, really rattly. I don't think the fixtures have been done to a particularly high quality. So while we're driving along the highway, everything's okay. But on the coastal road on the way back, I mean, I nearly had to wear ear defenders. The road surface is rough. I mean, you can see like it's sort of like broken tarmac in places, and by God, it's just so noisy. Everything rattles. We didn't have a conversation for 8 hours because we couldn't hear ourselves talk. It was that noisy. I would definitely recommend an alternative solution if you're traveling on those sort of like rougher roads. Other than the perfectly graded like highway, it's really noisy. But that's it. That's the review. I'm going to be taking it back to the rental company now and having the words, because the van hasn't lived up to expectations. We've not had any water, any electrics for the whole duration of our trip, and like I say, for $4,000 plus, it's not really what you'd expect. We may as well have just had a car and got some tents and had a cool box. Anyway, I hope that you value this review of the Indie Campers Pop Top Camper, and if you do decide to use Indie Campers, I hope that you have a better experience than me. Catch you later.